Hopefully this video will not get banned, but today I want to talk about the shocking truth about vaccines. On one hand, I want to trust the science, I want to trust the experts, but on the other hand, science is about sharing viewpoints. At the very foundation of science, you have disagreement. This is a normal thing. In fact, nearly every single scientific discovery came out of some disagreement with some mainstream. Now it's a little bit better. You can talk about these things, but 4 years ago, if I talked about this and it opposed medical consensus, it was considered misinformation. Somehow they changed the definition of misinformation. I thought it meant incorrect or false information, but that's not what medical misinformation means. Medical misinformation means if you oppose medical authority, medical consensus. Who is this authority, this all-knowing body that maybe sits in an ivory tower and pushes out the truth about health? One is the World Health Organization, and the other is the CDC. However, I just have a little problem with the potential conflict of interest with the drug companies influencing those two organizations. And it's really sometimes hard to find the flow of money flowing into the World Health Organization as well as the CDC. The CDC actually has patents on certain vaccines. They get royalties. My big problem with trusting the science is not the science part, it's who's behind the science part, primarily in the area of vaccines for children. Because I hear this over and over and over in social media and the news. They've been tested for safety. It's been proven that these vaccines are safe and effective. Normally, when you study a drug, you compare it with a placebo. So that way you can truly test the side effects on something. But that is not how they test children's vaccines. What they'll do is they'll test an active vaccine with another active vaccine. So this so-called placebo control is not really a true placebo control because it's not inert. It's an active vaccine with something called an adjuvant. This is something they add to vaccines to create more of an immune reaction. And the big one that they've been using for a long time is aluminum. Think about this for a second. If I were to test the safety studies on whiskey, of course I'd want to test that against water, right? But what if I tested whiskey against bourbon and I looked at the side effects of each, okay? So whiskey will create fatty liver, creates inflammation of liver, cirrhosis, all sorts of other problems like dementia, et cetera, et cetera. So if I were to tell you, well, the bourbon had roughly about the same side effects as the whiskey, so it's not any worse, that would be considered safe. Yeah, that's how they test these vaccines in children. The argument that they make against this to justify it is they don't want to give a true placebo with children because they consider that harmful, right? Because they're not giving something that can save their life. My question is, how can you really truly test the safety and effectiveness of something if you're looking at the relative safety of an active vaccine to another active vaccine with adjuvants? That just muddies the water to this whole safe and effective claim that you keep hearing over and over and over again. Has there ever been any drugs that were safe and effective by the general consensus that then turned out to be dangerous? And the answer is a big fat yes. I'll give you a few. Vioxx, 60,000 excess deaths. Paxil was considered safe and effective until they found out it really spiked self-harm incidents. And that company who actually had Paxil was sued for $3 billion. What about trans fats? It's been around for 90 or 100 years. You have asbestos. Just like now, you have the Gras, generally recognized as safe, right? The industry controls that. It's not even an independent FDA review at all. How can something so safe end up to be so dangerous? When research is done, the raw data that that research is based on is not openly disseminated. It's withheld. So Big Pharma does a study and they have this raw data and they can kind of keep it confidential. How do we know that the summary of that data that ends up in some research project is not minimizing the harms and maximizing the benefits? We don't. We can't know that until it's subpoenaed and we can eventually get the information. The other loophole, which I think should really be addressed, is this. Did you know that 87% of all big pharma sponsored studies are unpublished? If a study doesn't turn out maybe how they want it, they don't have to publish it. Potentially, they could actually just publish the positive studies, the ones that turn out good for that particular drug. New health guidelines are based on that. How doctors perform medicine is based on that data. How are we supposed to trust the science when we can't get all of the science? Just think about one thing, astroturfing. Astroturfing is setting up fake front groups that appear to be the general public talking about it. And I actually want to share some of the names with these front groups because, boy, they just sound so amazing, right? Here's one. Citizens for Patient Safety. Sounds wonderful. Here's one. Partnership to Protect Patient Health. America Action Network. Doctors for America. And a lot of them are coordinated to put various PR campaigns out against RFK. We need radical transparency all over the place. This way, it'll make it very difficult to manipulate data. I mean, it's just wild to me. They'll say that RFK is not a doctor. He's not fit to be in charge of HHS. He's just an attorney that, went after corrupt big pharma corporations and sued them for billions of dollars. Hello, isn't that what we need? So my viewpoint is we don't really have a science problem. We never did. We have an ethics problem. Please comment down below and tell me your thoughts and opinions about this topic. And since we're on the topic of corruption, if you have not seen this video on the corruption in the food industry, you have to check it out. Click right here. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's some only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.